What is up? What is up, everybody? So it's been a while since I made a Bitcoin video. Last time I made a Bitcoin video was in like May of 2020, and that was like 6 or 7 months ago. And at the time, you guys can go ahead and watch it if you haven't seen my previous videos. But at the time, Bitcoin was at $11,800, and I was stressing in the video that Bitcoin was about to kick off a new bull cycle. And I was using previous chart history and data to show that we were about to go into a new super cycle basically with Bitcoin. And so that was at $11,800. Since then, Bitcoin's up over 400%. We just broke 60K, like I said, for the first time in history, trading at new all-time highs today, March 13th, 2021. So I'm just going to kind of talk about briefly where I think we're at in this current cycle. When I made my last video, I predicted that in 2021, spring of 2022, that we would be at around 100 to 130K in that area. So I'm going to go to the BLX chart. This chart closes on Friday, so it says we're at 57,000. And I'm just going to go ahead and talk about where I think we're at in this current cycle. So I'm going to turn on some moving averages here. And all these purple lines on the screen, these are Bitcoin's previous halving. So this is when the supply gets cut down in half. And every 4 years this happens. This amount of Bitcoin that's getting mined and coming into circulation every 4 years gets cut in half. That's what gives it basically its value. It's a hardening asset instead of an inflating asset like the US dollar. So the very first Bitcoin cycle netted, from the time of halving, netted 9,500% returns. The next one netted roughly 3,000% returns. And so far, since this current halving, netted just about 500% returns, right? In the last Bitcoin bull markets, I talked about in my previous video, 21 weekly was always strong support, right? We held on top of the 21 weekly here up until the Bitcoin halving. Got the halving, held the 21 weekly, came down to it, tested it, kissed off it, came down, tested it, kissed off it, came down, tested it, kissed off it. And we just saw that multiple times throughout the previous bull market, leading all the way up to $19,000, right? So, but I mean, there's a lot of volatility here as well. Like this looks like, oh yeah, Bitcoin's easy. You can just write it up and stay on top of the 21 weekly. But I mean, and during this bull market, there's 40% corrections that you got to have the cojones and testicles to hold on to Bitcoin during 41% corrections. I think this one's like 30%. Yeah, 30%. There's multiple of these throughout the bull markets, and we've already seen one in this bull markets. We had the halving, right? We're up 500%. We've held the 21 weekly. We're hitting all the check marks that you want to see when Bitcoin goes into a super cycle like it's about to. We're hitting the checkpoints, right? We're holding on top of 21, and we had the halving, held the 21, kissed off it, and we're well above it right now, right? We've already had a couple corrections that have been juicy. I don't know how big this one is. 22%. This one from top to bottom was 31%. This one was a little bit smaller. And we didn't even come down to 21 weekly. This is 25%. So we've had a couple significant corrections. When I made my last video, I kind of talked about lengthening cycles and why I thought Bitcoin was going to be probably topping out in spring to summer of 2022, right? Reason being is because the first cycle from halving to peak lasted just about a year, 370 days. We'll call it a year. It's a few days among friends. This one lasted about 500 days. Call it a year and a quarter, a year and a half. So this one should, I mean, if we're experiencing lengthening cycles with Bitcoin, this one should go for about 600 to 700 days. Some time of halving to this purple line is about 650 days. Let's say it's 600 days. That's going to be in early 2022 to mid 2022 at the latest, I think. So I also had this trend line drawn here from previous market cycle all-time highs. This trend line started back at $1,100. Last market cycle peak was at $19,000. If we come up and test this trend line again, which I think would be nuts, but we're on pace for it. Time is on our side with this. So if it just comes up right away, it's going to be at $214,000. Now, if it kind of takes its time to claw up there to that upper trend line, then that's all the way up at 370K. If it happens later, it's over $400,000 to $500,000 of Bitcoin. So I am going to make a slight adjustment on my market cycle peak. I think that we're going on much higher than 100 to 130K. The acceleration with Bitcoin, the mass adoption with institutional investors, S&P 500 companies getting on board. I think that we're going to see probably one of the biggest returns that Bitcoin's ever had. It's gonna be up right up there with the $9,000 return that we had or 9,000% return that we had way back in this first cycle. If that happens, yeah, I mean, what would from the market from time of the halving to 500K? That'd be 4,000% returns. That's healthy. And if you go from the bear market low down at $3,200 up to 400, 500K, I mean, that's massive returns, 13,000%. So it's right up there with the first Bitcoin cycle, but I also think that we're seeing mass adoption like we've never seen before. We're at 60K. We're moving up, 60,300. We're looking strong. Hold on to those diamond hands, boys. Size out. Daily cost average into the pullbacks. I think that we're just getting started. I mean, if you look at this last cycle, I mean, this is a logarithmic scale. Like I said, this is from $100 up to 60K. So there's a lot of price action here, and we've only seen a few small corrections. We haven't even really come down and test the 21 weekly yet. So if we see a correction, just keep around the 21 weekly. Right now it's at $31,000. I think that'll be a strong support if it pulls back. A lot of buyers like me, I'll step in at 31,000. I'll buy more Bitcoin down there. My average is way down here at $8,000. So I'm cool with buying a little bit on pullbacks. I think the very lowest we go is the 200 weekly. I mean, that's been proven in previous Bitcoin bear markets as well. The 200 weekly is the lowest we go, and that's at around $10,000 right now. So no matter what, if it just crashes down to $10,000, I'm still up. I'll buy more down $10,000 happily as well. So I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Hopefully it's around $100,000, $200,000 next time I post a video here in a few months. All right, peace out.